Hello, Coach.
What's up, Nate?
First question. How are you feeling today?
From the weekend, I feel great. All right, we won a college football game. No matter how ugly it was or how pretty it was, from an offensive perspective, that was as close to a multiple wreck car crash as you could have. And from the defensive perspective on both sides, it was like looking at a Monet actually understanding what you're looking at. Right? So I thought that, from the defensive perspective, right, we held a team to 0 for 13 on third downs. It's awesome, just getting off the field. We talk about that a lot. Third down percentages is very important to me as a defensive coach, as an offensive coach as well. But getting off the field and doing it in a manner, Nate, where, on Saturday, that wind was blowing as hard as I've seen the wind blow at a game.
Yeah.
And during a game, right? It's blowing harder in practice. You and I have been out on that field in practice where the wind's blowing hard. But in a game, that was the hardest I've seen the wind blow. And that's also the hardest I've ever seen the wind blow from the southeast on our field. So I was just telling Dr. White, I thought I messed it up. So I took the ball, right? And I learned this from Woody Woodenhofer, actually. Coach I had my senior year in college. And the wind was blowing so hard, I didn't want to defer. I just wanted to take the ball, assuming that, if you win the toss and take the ball, then the other team's going to get the wind appropriately for the first half. Mm-hmm. But it would take a very, very ballsy coach to not take the ball in the second half if you didn't get the ball in the first half, just to play the wind, right? Mm-hmm. So with us winning the toss, we took the ball. Beginning of the second half, he took the ball, which gave us the ability to have the win for the fourth quarter. And, if you guys weren't at the game, there were 30, 40 knots at some point on, with that wind blowing. So we survived the third quarter, and, we got to pick six. And, going up 2 scores in a game like that where both offenses are not having a good day, okay, felt pretty good. Right? So thought the defense played really well. Offense, still things to improve upon, right? Like, we were not very good offensively again. It's the truth. So we have got to make some improvements and continue to improve on what we're doing on offense. And there was bad things on defense too, but there's still some improvement in the process that we talked about last week. So.
Yeah, so following that up, like you said, it was a defensive game. So what was our game plan for offense?
Just to be able to, have some RPO stuff, right? Like, we've, gotten to the point over the course of these past now, 7 games where getting RPO in, but it's just like, to me, when the teams say you want to run the ball, you want to run the ball to set up the pass, or you want to throw the ball to set up the run, or one or the other. And right now, we aren't doing good at both, at either, right? You pick one, we're not good at it. So it becomes easier to stop the run when you can have 8 or 9 people in the box, and then appropriately blitz your face off, right? So the quarterback can't get the ball off. But there are still things that our quarterbacks are not doing. Still things where, I do remind myself, even during the course of the game, that there are, 3 freshmen starting on the offensive line, right, on one side. Right? And we didn't even have the smarts to go senior freshman, senior, you know what I mean? So, but there are other things that just should be better, Nate, that are not, right? Mm-hmm. And I have told them, like I told them yesterday, AAP, and a whole lot of peeing going on right now, right? And for the people at home, that P in our acronym is productability. There is not a lot of production. We had 99 yards of offense. We still won college football. So we have got to make sure that we are getting the production, or at least some semblance of the production that we need. And in our meetings yesterday, talking at every skill position, at every offensive lineman, defensive lineman, the power, speed, everybody. Like there are still improvements that need to be made, and we still have got to continue to call you up and hold you to this standard of what we see your potential as, not what you think you are or what you have pigeonholed yourself as. Like there's something else. There's more potential. There's just more that you don't see. We just got to continue to get that out.
All right, question number 3. What was the best moment for you in the game?
Oh, pick six.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get a pick six, and again, Nate, I'm a defensive guy. When you get a pick six, and I saw, so we had what, and Coach Sanders is going to get mad at me for this, but occasionally, like, I'll sneak in some D-line stunts when he makes a call and JB signals it in. Maybe occasionally I'll sneak in a call, because usually AP's to my side, so I just yell AP's name, and then he. So I had made a call for a pass rush stunt. So I was watching it, and then I saw it happen. I saw that it wasn't going to do good, right, because of their pass protection. And so my eyes immediately cut to where he was looking, and I got a chance to see Nick step in front of it. And then I got a chance to look ahead and say, all right, can he make it 20 yards or whatever it was?
Yeah.
But anytime you get a pick six, and again, especially with in that third quarter, right, like in the fourth quarter, where no one scored in the third quarter, it's still a one-score game, and if they score a touchdown and kick the extra point, which we got blocked, they're winning the game, right? This is North Park all over again.
Yeah.
So you played 50 minutes of great football on defense against North Park, and then you give up a long pass play. So my most frightened moment during the game is that long pass play where Josh and Nick ran into each other, just like in North Park. Right, and then all of a sudden now you're down by 1, and your offense hasn't done well the whole game. So that pick six, one for defensive guys to be able to score. Right, we got 2 of those this year. Right, we didn't have any last year. But to continue to get takeaways, to continue to get sacks, to continue to get tackles for loss, and put offenses behind the sticks, just like we are putting ourselves behind the sticks, and defense playing good against us. So pick six definitely my favorite. I think that, it also, understanding how that game was going, everybody else also knew how big that was, right? The separation score. We talked about in camp, we talked about during the course of the year, and haven't had that many opportunities this year, but you talk about getting that score, defense getting that stop, and then getting that separation score, right? Making it a truly a 2-possession game. Because we're going to be pretty tough to go down the field and then go down the field again on us on defense right now. So in our 3 wins, Nate, the defense, we got some special teams, but in our 3 wins, the defense has given up 21 points.
All right, question number 4. Halloween's coming up. Got any plans after the game?
Is the game Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Halloween Saturday?
Halloween's on Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully, I don't get frightened out of my socks on Saturday at the game. Wheaton's very good. Number 10, 11, whomever you're looking at, team in the country. They are doing a lot more on offense this year. Their quarterbacks, and that was a plural on purpose. Like their quarterbacks are really good. I think their backup might be better than the starter, and the starter transferred from Liberty, for crying out loud. So they are good. I mean, it's just what they are. So we've got another big challenge in front of us from the defensive perspective in stopping them, because I think they're scoring 40 points a game. And from the offensive perspective, right, like this is not a team that got blown out by North Central. This is not a team that got, they haven't played WashU yet. But the 3 top-tier teams in our conference, right, between North Central, Wheaton, and WashU, in my opinion, Wheaton is and should be, a top 10 team. They are that good on offense and defense. So, as far as getting through the weekend, if we win, I'll throw a Halloween party myself. So, I'll give you my address later on. And just have a Halloween party at my house. So, but it's making sure, again, it's not, Nate, right? We just talked about the fact that our offense had 99 yards of offense. that's not, and if you watch the game, that's not all of what someone else is doing to us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't close out the end of the game without getting 6 penalties.
Flags.
I mean, we got 4 false starts trying to go on 2, right? So, focus, right? Being able to, proverbially for the people at home, put your foot on someone's neck, keep it there, hold it there, and like to win the game, right? Like, leave them down. And we, instead of winning a game where you're up by 2 scores and they don't have a chance, and then you just can't do exactly what you're supposed to do, i.e. go on 2, i.e. catch a hitch, i.e. Things like that. So, still for me and for this team, getting them to make sure that they understand fully, it's not about playing the number 10 team in the country. It is about getting better at what you didn't do last week, right? It is about getting better about what you didn't do the week before. And some of the penalties, I knew our penalty probably would go up this week because we played all freshmen on Sharks, our punt return team, against JB's wishes. I pulled my head coach card and said, why not? We put all those freshmen that have been playing and doing scout team, like, let's put them in a game. Some of them think they're pretty good. Let's put them in a game. Let's see how tight parts of their bodies get when they go in a game. So I would say that we had probably, 16 to 18 freshmen playing that game, never played a varsity game before, right, on special teams. So, again, for those guys to now believe that when I'm talking about trusting in the process, I'm also talking to them, right? I'm not excluding them because they are scout team players. You're on varsity now, brother, right? You see what we were talking about, right? Like this whole thing about you thinking you are that good. Okay, there's this H word called humble that you just ate a little bit of that pie, right? Yeah, coach, he was fat. Yeah, he is fat. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So, for us, again, it goes back to improve on what we didn't do well last week. Trusting, the kids trusting us trusting the kids that we can go and do this. And again, we drop passes, right? The receivers have to help the quarterback out. Offensive line has to help the quarterback out. Quarterback has to help, everybody else, right? So we still have a long way to go. There's no doubt about that. But we have won 3 games. We have 3 games left, and there is no reason why we still cannot win these 3 games. I don't care if it's not 10 team in the country. I don't care. It's on the internet. Who cares? We still have to go out there and play football the way that I still believe that we are capable of playing. Right? On defense, that was the defense that I thought we could have all year long, including against North Central, including against Washington. And it didn't happen. So we have to continue to get better, with all of the little things we're doing, right? Like I talked about changing practice last week. We will stay with that formula this week. I think it served us better. So kids trusting us and us trusting the kids, and then, still got to go out and play and produce.
And then last question, still talking about Wings next week. What's the game plan against them?
From that standpoint, it is, they're good at running the ball. Like I told you before, the quarterbacks are pretty good, both of them. And then we're going, again, to another hostile environment, right, where you got to travel the game, day of the game, and ride for 3 hours, and get off a bus and play a game, and get back on the bus and go back home, right? So I guess my word of the week right now is just going to be improvement. It sounds like a broken record, right? Process, trust it, right? And so 2 of my best friends were here this weekend. They came to the game, and we talked after the game. Obviously, they're football players. They look at stuff as football players do. And so I'm just asking them, like, hey, so, they're both coaching their sons' flag football teams and stuff like that now, right? So they'll call me and ask for plays and shit. So we start talking after the game. We're at home. It is finding out what best your players can do and then allowing them to do that. Okay, I think any coach would say that. Most coaches would say that. I think some coaches, have their system. They get the people they need to fit in system. we've got to continue to work on that process and all the things that go into it, the trust that goes into it, the hard work that goes into it, the studying of film, not watching a film, but the studying of film. And so with those two guys, it was just like anything else. One, you got to block better. Two, you got to tackle. I was like, well, thanks a lot, because one's an offensive guy, tight end, and one's a linebacker. I was like, well, okay. I was hoping for something more insightful from you two, right? But Carlton, those kids played hard. Carlton, those kids are, especially on defense, yesterday or Saturday, we're getting after it. Like, you could see the excitement. One of the things that I guess I have collected over the 19 years of being a college football coach is seeing the kids' eyes that aren't playing when you're on the sideline. Like, really looking into someone's eyes, and they look into your eyes. Do they know what's going on? Do they think they're in REM sleep? Like, what's going on behind the fuzzy glass balls? So I saw more locked inness from guys that weren't playing a lot, even on defense, and that's what has to continue, right? That's something that I took from Saturday that no one else maybe took from Saturday, because one, obviously I have to look at everything, and two, it was one of those things I was like, I did the dog head tilt, like, oh, man, he's locked in, right? So those were other things that they pointed out to me, that I don't always get a chance to see. So trusting in that process and produce. This is America. I told you last week, right? This is America. If you don't produce, they're going to fire you. Right? So you got to produce. That goes for me too. We got to produce. We won 3 games. All right, what do you do? That's not a winning record. We got 3 games left. We can win 3 games. Now you're 6-4. Well, we end the season 6-4. There'd be a whole country of people head tilting like, how do they pull that off, right? So trust, player to player, coach to coach, coach to player, and player to coach. We've got to continue to work and do those things and get back, like I said last week, to the fundamentals of working more in individual periods, group periods, things like that. So we will keep our same formula that we used last week, spending more time in individual, spending more time in group, and see what happens on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we can make the appropriate adjustments for Thursday and Friday, and see who's going to play and who's not going to play. Now, back to your very original question. Mm-hmm. From the weekend, I'm great. Right? 2 of my best friends came to see me. I won a college football. From today, getting grades, not so great. Mm-hmm. So these guys on the team have known since the beginning of the season, once I get midterm grades, there's some consequences for these midterm grades. So as I continue to go back through these grades and see who's producing in the classroom and who's not producing in the classroom, and then we'll go from there. So I think I may have said something to the effect of, if we have to go play the number 10 team in the country with 30 people, we'll go up there and play with 30 people. But this year, Nate, and every year after this that I'm here, you're not going to fail and still play football. You're just not. Football's second. School's first. And that gets lost in translation sometimes with kids, right? Oh, I'm here to play ball. No, you're not. You're here to go to school, right? So the last thing that my 2 buddies gave me was, Carlton, you got to watch Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
And I said, look, I heard about this show, but I don't have Apple or whatever TV, so I didn't. I don't want to. I like Jason Sudeikis, whatever his name is. I think he's a funny dude, but I don't like soccer. Yeah. Soccer. I gotta get the premise of the show. So what I do last night, not being able to sleep, go watch Ted Lasso. And I will be damned if Ted Lasso, besides dropping a hip hop reference in every show, process. Right? He's changing the culture of a really bad soccer team in England, and how you go about doing that, right? Winning the hearts and minds, right? Kissing babies, shaking hands, making friends, right? Now I didn't go fully down the Ted Lasso rabbit hole. I just watched a couple episodes, but all right, if calling someone who's trying to change a culture at a sports team, if that's now going to be, hey, you're going to Ted Lasso this thing, okay, I'll buy it, yeah. Because not too many things he's doing differently than what I'm trying to do. Right? Making sure that people across the street know that I mean business when I talk about grades. Right? Making sure people in the community know that, hey, we want to help if there's a place to help or something to do. Those are how you get people in those stands. That's how you get a community to like a college football team in their community. It's how when these guys go out in the community and they have their Milliken gear on, now people aren't looking at them, like, well, you guys can't win a game, or you guys are losers, or whatever it is. So if I'm been called a lot worse than Ted Lasso in my life, so to be able to try to Ted Lasso this thing the appropriate way, we're going to continue to do that because you see the good, right? I see 3 freshman O-linemen out there just battling their asses off versus seniors. I see even some of our young DBs, right? Triggering and making plays on what we've asked them to make on, and then actually seeing that wheels turning in their head, but then they're just turning faster, right? So it will still be the same speech this week as last. Concentrate on the little things, down to the minutia of said little things. Get better at group, and put it all together in team, and then go out and produce. So the message will stay the same. That's not going to change. The new message, like I said, if there's a new message, will be, all right, well, you got to go to school. So if you don't want to go to school for the past 7 weeks, then you're not going to play football the rest of the season. So that is what, when we're done here, I will go back to and start, finish looking at all the grades that I got from midterms and see exactly how many people are going to be or have held themselves accountable. Because ultimately, you got to have self-accountability for your grades. Mom and dad are paying for it, if not you. No one else is paying for your school. No one else is going to class. No one else is going to take your test for you. No one else is going to write the paper for you. So if you can't do these basic things, then you're not going to do the thing that you want to do, which is play football. So will I be the butthole this week? Is that okay? Because as much as they're going to hate me for not allowing them to play because they have said grade, I'll appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for your time and good luck this week.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it, man.